Hi there, it's Simone. I'm so glad you are here. I am going to show you what pens and inks I used in the past month and what pens and inks I am going to use for the next little while. Maybe a month, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know yet. So this is what I started with. I have used several of these pens for more than a month. I just kept them inked. But I'm going to talk you through the colors and the inks that I used. So this is the Franklin Christoph Model 45. I have changed the nib out from the original nib that it came with to an M number 5 Jowo nib. That was in this Opus 88. And I did not have good luck with this pen. It dried up on me. I had hard starts. When I would write and think and then continue writing, I would have hard starts. And so I wasn't 100% happy with this. I am not sure if it was the ink or the pen or maybe me. And so I decided that I would clean it out and not continue using this pen and ink combination. Then the second pen that I used was this Kaweco All Sport Golden Espresso. I purchased this at the end of December of last year. I realized that I really wanted this pen. And so I searched and I found two places that still had one in stock. And so I purchased this one. I replaced the nib because it was not available with an M nib anymore. And this nib has been the smoothest M nib that I had in a Kaweco. Very much comparable to my experience with the Custom 74. I really like the weight of this pen. I really like how it feels in my hand. I like how cold the aluminum feels, but I had a recent writing experience where my hand where I had hand fatigue really fast, really quickly. So I'm not sure if I will get any more. I definitely need to test out why that happened. I still have a fairly large amount. Oops, this nib is not even tight in the section here. I still have a fair amount of ink left, and since I really love this ink and I don't want to waste one tiny drop, I decided that I'll just keep it inked and move it forward in my inks. So this and this. So this left, this stayed. Maybe we can make two piles up here. You don't even see what I'm doing here. This and this. Then I had this Kaweco Sport. The color is Fox, inked with Diamine Poppy Red. This was a fine, I don't have the nib in there. This was a fine nib and I wrote this empty. Let me check when. April 6th. I had written this one empty. So this one is empty. Then the next one was the Vinta Sirena in the Kaweco Iridescent Pearl. I wrote this empty on April 12th. The ink is very light and I did not extremely enjoy how light it wrote. Maybe I am not a light ink person. I often write in my writing journal at night when there's just a small light on and it's not well lit, and I can't really see what I wrote. That felt weird. So not sure if this is the right ink for me. So this one was done. All of those nibs are okay, but they are not great. They're smooth, they're okay writers, but they're not super smooth. This one was, I used a fine nib, and originally I had thought, my idea in March was to swap out all of my nibs to medium nibs, but some papers just don't take inks that well, and medium nibs tend to put down more ink than finer and extra fine nibs. And so I actually am not going to do that, even though I think it's a great idea. If you know what nib size you love, then have all of your nibs or many of your fountain pens in that nib size. I use this to write notes on papers where an M nib would have bled through. And so I realized that maybe I should not switch everything out to an M nib, because there might be times when I actually could make good use of a finer nib or a broader nib for that reason, and enjoy that writing experience as well, because it gives me something that an M nib cannot give me. Then I had this Kaweco collection, Cyan, inked with Pelikan 4001 dark green or dunkelgrün. I did not make a swatch card for this, because when I wanted to make to document that in my ink journal, I realized that I didn't have enough ink left in my fountain pen to actually use the ink for all the things that I wanted to. So next time I use the Pelikan 4001 dunkelgrün, I will do that. This pen, the color is just the best. I love it, and I'm so glad I went for it. This was the first Kaweco that I purchased after I had taken a break from Kawecos, because I did not have a great experience with my very first Kawecos board. So that one was inked with dunkelgrün. I emptied it because I had written it. I finished it. When was that? Really fast, after, yeah, March 28th. So I filmed Currently Inked on March 24th, and on March 28th, I had already finished that ink. So what does the red dot say? Where is it? I have a uninked. Oh, I need to, okay, alrighty. Then this is the Opus 88 Koloro in the red colorway. The nib is swapped with this Franklin Christoph. So this is a Franklin Christoph specialty nib grind. It is the SIG medium nib. SIG stands for stub italic gradient. It writes really nicely in this pen, and I decided to keep it inked just to give myself more writing experience with the SIG medium nib. And also I really love this ink, so why not? Then I still had about half of a converter filled with the Vinta Cicatuna Sandugo. I decided it is time to unink that pen and fill it with something else. So that's what I did. I wanted to keep that in rotation because I really enjoy writing with it. So I emptied that one out. Then this one I had written dry on April 6th as well. That was Rohrer und Klingner Altgoldgrün. This one I had inked since the time I had purchased the ink, and I think that was in May, but I'm going to look for the video and link it in the up above here so you can actually see when. And then I had the last ink and pen I had inked was this TWSBI Eco with an M nib with Diamine Storm. This was color number 9 of the Diamine InkVent of 2021. I just did not gravitate toward this color. I used it last. I never rotated it in like any of the other pens, so I decided that it was time to let it go. All right, so before I continue sharing about all of my inks and the new color palette, I wanted to check the weight of these pens because I'm just curious to see what the difference is. So here is the Opus 88. Opus 88 Koloro. It is 25 grams. Then the All Sport is 23. That is so interesting. AL Sport. 23 grams. Because I feel when I write with this, the hand fatigue only happened with this one. So let's see if this is able to be weighed. Then this is the Franklin Christoph 45. This has 14 grams. Then a regular Sport is 12. Curious to see, did I ink? Oh, you know what pen I also want to, this one, this jumped on here. Okay, interesting. Custom 74, 23 grams. And then I would like to have a TWSBI, but I don't have a nib in these, so that is not representative of what it actually, oh yeah, I have two more that I would like to weigh. Let's add 1 gram for the nib and feet. I don't know if that makes so much weight, but TWSBI Eco, SBI Eco, let's say 22. Then the other pens that I would like to know how much they weigh. Since we're at it, we can just weigh all of them, or the ones that I have been using. So the Swipe is 19. The VAC, ooh, wow. VAC 700R is 36. And then the Vanishing Point is 32. VP 32 grams. That's interesting. So I have, this needs more exploring for sure. So this is all the different pens that I currently have inked in some capacity or not. Let me know which one of those gives you the best writing experience weight-wise. So here is all the pens that I have currently inked, and let me talk to you about the colors that I picked. So when I was working with my old color palette, I took down some notes of inks that I would love to use next, and I haven't had a real true royal blue ink in my rotation yet, so I thought that would be a good chance to use it. I'm never really drawn to any of those, so when I feel the need or the urge to actually use one of those, then I should take it. I had also thought about using the spicy Chipotle. It is the companion ink to the homemade tortillas, and I really wanted to see what it looked like on paper compared to Manyo Ume and the Sikatuno Sandugo, so I picked that one. So these were the two that I was very likely going to ink up with. Then a fellow YouTuber, I don't know, do you have a YouTube channel, Amy? She's on Instagram as Analog Amy. If that is not the case, and I'm just blanking on the name, I will link it in the description below. Either way, she decided that she did not want this Kaweco Sport. The colorway is, this is a frosted model, and the color is natural coconut. And the nib is a double broad. I have never tried a double broad nib, and so that was a great chance for me to use it. And once I tried it, I remembered that last year I used the Sailor Shikiori Yozakura, and I had it in a finer nib, and it just did not work for me. As I said with the Vinta Sirena, I might not be a person who enjoys light inks, and so I wanted to see what a light ink would look like in a double broad nib. And since it's almost the end of Sakura season, what better color would be in a fountain pen than this one? So I wanted to give this another chance in a different nib. So that made that choice for me. So I had these three colors. Then I was going to keep the homemade tortillas and the Lennon toolbar Oyster. And then I wanted to use my new inks, the Cozy Comforts from Robert Oster. And I really, when I swatched them, these swatches right here, they look really nice together. Let me show you these three right here. So I decided, why not add these? Oops, wow, I'm losing all of my heat here. So why not use these three? They would complement the colors that I already have inked. And then since I had the Diamine InkVent in 2021, I do have 25 15 milliliter, is it 15? I think so, 15 milliliter sample bottles. And so the idea is to at least have one fountain pen in my rotation that is inked with one of those inks. So that's the Diamine Subzero. So these are the inks that I chose. And then I matched them up with fountain pens, and I will just show you or do writing samples of all of those. Oops. I am going to write the one list. I usually make lists in 3 different inserts. One is Tomoe River paper, one is Cosmo Air Light, and one is MD paper, just to see how the inks look on each of these papers and how the nibs perform on the papers. The writing experience on each paper is very different, in my opinion. And yeah, so I have already tried and filmed this video yesterday. So I have already filmed the swatching in the Tomoe River papers. So today I'm going to use the Cosmo Air Light. And I actually think that these pop most on this paper. So it's a good thing to try and do that. Let me just check if I can see where here. So on April 28th, I had already inked a pen, this one, with Rohrer and Klingner Altgoldgrün. So I guess that's when I inked up that TWSBI Eco Tea, which means that this has been inked for almost a year. I did not have any problems or trouble with the fountain pen drying out. It never had any hard starts. So that is definitely a sign for the TWSBI that they do something right with their caps. And I think let me just look at this. There is a cap inside. So that is maybe what seals the pen so well. All right. I am not going to stamp the date because I am prone to smudging. I will do that once I'm done. So the question is, do I go in this order? Yeah, I will, because that's how I chose the inks. So I put I need my guide because I just cannot remember what ink is in which pen yet. And I deliberately did not try to match up the fountain pen color with the ink that is inside, just to see how my brain would react to that, because it seems to be a tendency previously that I would try to match the ink in the pen. And so I'm trying to go outside of my own little box and see what happens. So let's start with this ink. I'll go here. So this is the Pilot Vanishing Point. I need to use this paper for my hand, otherwise the writing experience won't be the best. Point in yellow with an M nib. This is not a gold nib, and the color is Private Reserve. Electric DC Blue. Yeah, I like how this writes. I can't really tell you why I chose what pen. I just really enjoy writing with the Vanishing Point. I really like the VAC 700R Iris, and so I decided to put that back into rotation. This I purchased at the end of December as well. This one I purchased in October of 2021. This one in December of 2021. All right, so I was thinking of using the Warm Book Smell by Robert Oster. That is part of the Cozy Comfort Zone Comfort series. Yeah, the S and C and all that. And I compared it a little, and I thought they were similar, but I actually have to revise that opinion and say that the spicy chipotle is definitely brown, and the warm book smell, old book smell, no, I don't remember, is a red. Okay, so this is the TWSBI 700R Iris. Also with an M nib. Did I tell you that I really like M nibs? And the color is Sailor. Tinterias Spicy Chipotle. I don't own either of these inks as full ink bottles. I will tell you when, if I do. This came in a random sample pack from Goulet, and this one I received from a friend. Then this, as I said, is the TWSBI that I received from my friend Amy. And it is a very interesting writing experience. She said she didn't like writing with this pen. I don't know why, but when I received and tested it, it was quite scratchy. This is Kaweco board. And it's quite wet, I have to say. I don't know if that is usual for double broad nibs, but this puts down a lot of ink. That's natural coconut. And this is BB. And then the color is Sailor, Shikiori, and Yozakura. But I used some micro mesh, to just get that scratchiness out, and I really like how it feels. It didn't do a lot. I just did some 8s and diagonal strokes this way and the other way, and it helped a lot. So I can definitely recommend watching tutorials first and then getting some micro mesh or even mylar paper to see if you can get these scratchy things out of the way for you. All right, so this is my very first more expensive fountain pen. This is the Opus 88. Koloro, and the colorway is red with a SIG medium nib, and that is from Franklin Christoph. and the color is Lennon, Bar, and Oyster. This pen I purchased in July of last year at Endless Pens when they had their Independence Day sale, and that was a total impulse buy. I don't know why I went for this pen, but I definitely can say that I have not been disappointed, and that is a really big thing because I often have buyer's remorse when I get things. Not with this one, for sure. This is the Golden Espresso, as I said before. This one I also told you I purchased in December, and I think they're now not available that easily anymore. Glad that I went for it when I did. I had been dreaming about this pen. Dreaming, you know what I mean, since last May, but I was hesitant because it was a Kaweco AL Sport Golden Espresso, and as you can see here where it doesn't cover the paper completely, that's probably where I had some hand oils on the paper. The Cosmo Air Light is very, very prone to show everything that you do with it, and so it's really important to make sure that you have some kind of paper between your hands and the paper in order for the writing experience to be the same throughout the page. Okay, so what color is this? Sailor, Tinterias, Homemade, Tortillas. All right. There is some sheen to be seen on the Private Reserve, but I don't see any sheen on any of the other ink. Maybe this one a little, the TWSBI, the Sailor Spicy Chipotle, but definitely not the Homemade Tortillas. Okay, next one is, I'm gonna roll it a little. This is the TWSBI Swipe. As you can clearly see, there is some shimmer particles in here. I put my shimmer inks in pens that I can completely clean, take out the nib and feed, and then rinse and clean completely just to make sure that I don't have any shimmer particles left. This is the TWSBI Swipe, and I don't remember the color name of this one. Petrol maybe, but I'm not sure. And then M-nib. Since you can swap out the nib and feeds of all of the TWSBIs, the Eco, the Eco T, as well as the Swipe, I can just put on the nib that I really like to use. So again, this is an M nib. I thought that the only nib I have is M. I probably would like to test a broad nib as well, but I think that would be probably out of my comfort zone. I am not comfortable writing in a space in this grid with the double broad. I feel like it's too crammed, not very readable. So I'm not sure if that is something that I would personally enjoy a lot. So, what was I going to say? So I chose an M-nib because it's a shimmer ink and I really do want to see the shimmer. And so the broader the nib, the better the shading, sheening, and shimmer is going to be visible. All right, this is Robert Oster, and it is called Stargazing. This is a exclusive ink with Endless Pens, and the colors were picked by micahfinds. Mica, not Mika. I'm sorry. I just recently watched the top 3 pens from Applebaum Pen. Check those out. They're really interesting. And the dude introducing the person talking about their favorite 3 pens said Mika, and I thought, ooh, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way. And then she herself introduced herself as Micah, so that's how you pronounce it. All right, this is Franklin Christoph. Model 45, and the nib is an M nib, and the color is Robert Oster again. Also Cozy Comforts, Endless Pen, micahfinds exclusive. The colorway is Tea Time. So I have a very similar ink to the Altgold Grün, but it is lighter and a tiny bit different. I usually put all of those inks into my ink journal and do a bit more exploration on those, and that looks like this. Right here. Make an ink splotch. I write in affirmation, do a chromatography water test, and then 1, 2, 3 layers of ink, and then write with different nib sizes. So I really try to do that for all of the inks that I have inked in my Currently Inked during that time, so that I can add throughout the month or two that I have them inked. And I'm really curious to see the chromatography for this ink. And next, this one was, I could have put that ink in here, but I thought, nope, I'm gonna break that spell. But why is this still red? Did I not clean the cap? I have to definitely rinse the cap later on, because there you can clearly see there is some red-ish ink on here. Okay, so next is, I was afraid that these two inks, the Lennon Toolbar Oyster and this one, which is Warm Kitty, Soft Kitty, also from the Cozy Comforts, would be too similar, but they are not. This is definitely a very light gray, blue gray, and this one is a very dark black leaning gray. Okay, Pilot, Custom 74, and the color is burgundy, and the nib is an M nib. This is my only gold nib. It's 14K, and then the ink is Robert Oster. Soft Kitty. Is it Warm Kitty, Soft Kitty? Yeah, Warm Kitty, Soft Kitty. I wanted to keep this one inked with an ink and keep it into the rotation because I just really enjoy writing with this pen. The fountain pen just glides over my paper and it doesn't feel weird holding it. It has the right width. It puts down the right amount of ink. It's quite wet, but not too wet. And I'm just falling in love with this pen more and more the more I use it. So that I really love using or doing this and having different pens in my rotation just to find out my personal preferences, how thick the fountain pens should be, how long the fountain pens should be, how heavy they should be, what kind of inks I enjoy, what kind of nib sizes I enjoy. Do I like wetter nibs, drier nibs? I have found that it definitely depends on the paper, but this is just so interesting and so, I don't know, brings me so much joy to explore all of that. And I'm learning something new about myself every time I use any of those pens. Are you as nerdy as I am with this? Let me know in the comments. Let me know that I'm not alone. It's similar to stamp collecting, I feel like. It's just, people who don't get it just don't get it. It's like, why do you need more than one? Because they're all different. Okay, so this, even if they're the same, they're different. This is, I think I picked this one because of the color, because look at how this color matches. The Kaweco. And I don't really get why these are called collection, even though they are sports. Maybe they are limited editions. I guess that's the reason why. But it makes it really hard to distinguish the pens because they're basically the same. It's a Kaweco Sport, but it's from the yearly collection. Maybe Kaweco Sport collection, but maybe that didn't fit. Don't know. And then this one is Diamine, InkVent, and the color is Subzero. And I actually, now that I just said that, this is a perfect match. So I did give in to matching pen and ink with this pen and maybe with this one, but I did not with any of the others, which I think is a good, well, maybe this one is a good thing. This is very, let's look at the colors now that nope, not this way. Now that I have sampled them out, let's just look at the shimmer, and there is a lot of shimmer going on in this one. This one has also a lot of shimmer, but it also has some shading. So this I actually really like. I really like all of those. This one has some nice shading properties, especially with this M nib. So you can see some lighter areas, some darker areas. Same with this. Also nice shading. This one does as well. The Lennon toolbar is pretty flat. Not sure if it's because of the nib. Let me check what other nibs I had this ink in yet. February 13th, 7. Okay. Yeah. In the vanishing point, it's definitely not as dark, but also not in here. Maybe it's the paper. So this looks more dark gray than here. Here it looks rather black and very flat. Then the Shikiori Yozakura, I guess it does have, if you can see here, it looks like a dark blackish, dark blue shimmer. I did not see that when I had it in a different fountain pen, so I'm curious to see how that works and how I enjoy writing with this nib. This one is the Spicy Chipotle, and it has some green shimmer up here. I wonder if that's the same with the Tomoe River paper. Yes, not as prominent though, for sure. And then let's check this one, the Private Reserve. Definitely you can see some red sheen. I heard here that is something that lots of those blue royal blue inks have. As long as it's not overpowering like here, I'm totally fine with that. Okay, I decided to come back and share with you my findings from swatching this palette in the MD paper insert. The shading is similar on this and this, but both have some sheening, red sheen, some green sheen right here. What I found with all of those pens is that it takes more strength to actually make the move over the paper. So I guess it has some more tooth to it. And it feels really hard. I guess I don't have a lot of strength in my hand because this tires me out. On this paper, before it dried, this looked very green. I like the line width on this paper, and that was still very wet and still very comfortable writing. So if you compare this to the Cosmo Air Light, you can see how much thinner the line is on this paper. Then this is still the same. What I found with, what was that? The Franklin Christoph feels really hard and stiff. The steel nib, the Yovo steel nib on this one feels very hard and stiff on here. And then what was very interesting to see how the ink looks here. It has a lot of red that doesn't come out here. And where is the other insert? Right, not this one. Where is it? Right here. Sorry. Well, there's a lot of red here as well. So the Tomoe River paper and the MD paper seem to bring out some red that is not visible on this. And then this one was also really stiff and hard to write on, this paper, but it's still, I like that color palette. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I really love filming this. I really love talking nerdy stuff about fountain pens and inks, and I just learn so much every day that I use them. Leave a comment below, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.